Hey everyone, welcome to the final episode in my cyber video series for 2024, where we've been covering different topics and stages of the cyber attack kill chain. Well, today we're going to be talking all about your data, something that's always been an important topic, but in today's modern threat landscape, it's becoming more and more challenging to protect. So let's dive in and have a look at some of the concepts in this area. Okay, so what are we going to be covering off today? Throughout this whole video series, we've been looking at different phases of the attack kill chain and different things an attacker would go through to gather data about you, break into your environment, start moving around, and then the final thing that we're going to do, which we're going to be looking at today, is actions on objective. So this is doing the bad stuff. It's breaking things, or in the case we're going to look at today, exfiltrating your data. So this can be the focus. So first of all, let's look at some traditional ways in which, first of all, where do we store data? How have we approached protecting data with controls like DLP in the past, data loss prevention? Well, it all sort of starts in the data center. So traditionally, we've had on-premise environments, and that is where data has resided. And then, of course, we've got that trust zone, and then we've got the untrusted internet. And what do we do to protect ourselves against that? We put in a proxy server on the data center. And when people try to leak this stuff out to big bad internet, we would block that at that network channel. So that worked for a while, but many things have changed in today's environment where we need to update this approach. As an example, a lot of people are now working from home, and again, there's possibilities for them to bypass that proxy by using devices and controls from the home network. Also, a lot of data has moved into SaaS, so it's moved out of the data center and up to SaaS applications like Office 365. And this means if we've got third parties, they can now potentially try to log in and access this stuff because by definition, it's public. And finally, more recently, we've seen the emergence of Gen AI tools like Copilot, like ChatGPT, and there's risks now for our sensitive data to flow through these sensitive channels and leak out that way. So what's Trend doing to help with this approach? And how can we build a secure data protection architecture for this modern setup that we've got? Well, it all starts with what we call zero trust secure access, which is our hosted gateway effectively in the cloud. And what is it doing? It's channeling all the different connections, whether it's on-prem or if you're working from home, you can have a secure agent to connect you to your applications, or we can give a browser-based portal for third parties. All the data will come in here for all those different channels, and we can ensure anything that's going up to the internet or controlling your SaaS applications is effectively protected. So let's have a look at what that looks like in a real world scenario. Well, first of all, here's a normal machine. We've got zero trust secure access deployed, and we're protecting internet as well as AI services, and also private access as well. So let's test a few things out on here. Well, first of all, let's go to a normal website, BBC. We can load this. Now we have a look at the connection. You can see the certificate has been signed by Trend Micro. So that means we're protecting this, we're decrypting any SSL traffic there. Also, maybe we want to go to Office 365, access, emails, files. That's all good. But if we try and go to a bot site like gambling, you can see the gateway stepped in and says, this is a risky site here. You can't go to that one. Also, let's try and upload some sensitive data. So basic sort of DLP, and we'll try and do that over HTTPS. I'm just going to paste in some credit card numbers, some sensitive data. and you'll see the gateway has also blocked this. We've identified these are credit cards, and we're enforcing DLP there. And finally, let's go to an internal app. So this is just something, a website we're hosting in our internal data center. Okay, so that all seems to be working well and good. What I'm now going to try is move into a machine that's got a higher risk score. So throughout all this podcast, we've been, doing different activities, different stages of the kill chain. We've been increasing the risk of our users and devices due to those activities. So what happens when I try and do some of the similar things on this machine? Well, let's go to a basic website. That's fine. We can load BBC, all good. What about if we try and access Office 365, where we've got some sensitive data? Okay, so you can see this time this has been blocked, and you can see the reason why is because this device has got a persistent high risk score. Now let's try and upload some data, but actually instead of a traditional way, why don't we use something like Copilot, a Gen AI tool. So we can type some normal questions into here. What is the weather today? Let's see what it thinks. And then while that's coming back, I'll try and paste also some sensitive data. So let's run that. And you can see trends kicked in and restricted this data that we're trying to upload through this Gen AI tool. So that works on all different channels there. And finally, let's try and access that internal application. You see this time we've been blocked. So effectively, the tool's kicking in and it's saying, if you've got a higher risk score, we're going to control your access and we're going to stop you accessing potentially sensitive data and applications. So what does this look like from a defender side? If we go over to Vision 1, you can see if we have a look at our internal assets. We've tested with a few different machines today. So the first one had a lower risk score. You can see it's got a risk level of 57, whereas the second one we use had a risk higher than 60. And what's happening here, we've got a rule that we put in place to basically say devices with a persistent high risk score, let's go and do something. So the risk is above 60 within the last day. What we're going to do is perform a few actions. We're going to block instant access in the form of our sensitive SaaS apps, 365 in this case. And we're also going to block all internal access, which is what we've done. So that's all enforced automatically. And then finally, what's some of the data points that we can see by looking at the tool? So we can see, who's accessing, what devices, what kind of applications have kicked in. You can see some of the violations here we've blocked using things like GPT and Copilot on AI. And then you can see on the internet access side, again, what's been happening here, what are the top blocked code apps, or maybe things like, hits on that credit card rule that we were seeing for DLP controls. And on the private access side, again, you can see who's been connecting, which devices, and again, here's that website that we're testing that's been blocked multiple times. So some great insights there on how we can control access to our sensitive data being exfiltrated. Okay, so hopefully you found that useful, and if you've missed any of the previous episodes in the series, I'll post a link in the comments below, so you can go and check them out. Now, if you want to learn more about the threat landscape, or Trend Vision 1 for that matter, we've got some great news. We're putting on our biggest and best CTF yet, or Capture the Flag, if you haven't done one of those before. We're going to be running it across multiple cities across Australia and New Zealand at the end of July, and there's going to be some fantastic prizes up for grabs. So if you're interested in coming and join us for that, come and sign up at the link over here. But with that, thanks for listening everybody, and bye bye for now.